Hello, welcome back to the channel and thank you for joining me in another of my monologues. Today I want to talk about why we're so dumb, why we're so stupid, what's happened to this race. It's a recurring theme, I suppose, that I often talk about. We need to take back responsibility for ourselves. We need to, instead of letting everybody else do everything for us, we need to sort of get back into having a life in which we are have value to our life, which comes really, I suppose, from doing things more for ourselves and allowing everything else. We've seen more and more people saying, oh, I'm entitled to this. We have this entitled where everybody else does something for us. And I mentioned this many times. But for some reason, here we are in the 21st century and we're at the top of our game, in theory. We have all this technology, and yet for some reason we seem firstly to have allowed and accept authority figures to guide our lives, authority figures to educate our children into a specific way, down a narrative that isn't actually very wholesome. We've allowed these authority figures to show us certain medical interventions, and allowed them to inject into our body certain poisons. And we've not resisted, and we've not even thought about it. We haven't brought our own individual intellect and reasoning and the power of, well, common sense, really. And we've permitted the world to dumb us down and make us stupid. And where does all this come from? I've been sent a book, actually. This is from Paul Yates, who's been on the show before, with The Title Is Not Important and The Big Stick. A couple of books that he's read. And he's just written this, The Great Brain Robbery. Why are we so stupid, he asks. I'll put a link in the description. It's a thick book, but don't let that put you off. The print is quite large. So I had an hour yesterday and I read the first 100 pages, which is very interesting, and hopefully get through it. So don't let the size of it put you off. But we are stupid, aren't we? And now I'm talking collectively. I'm not talking individually or specifically to you, the viewer listening here, because the chances that you are watching my stuff means that you, I would imagine, have at least some intelligence. Yes, thank you. That you're aware of the wrongs and the ills of the world, and you've been pondering what to do with it and searching various commentators, I suppose, and I'm just one of them, and I may not be the most bright spark in the tray of commentators or whatever, but that's why you've come along, and so I'm not addressing this as you. But when you walk down the street, you see people who do seem to be just existing, downtrodden, depressed, of a nervous disposition, not very well, no sense of self-respect, no pride. Not that, again, I come back to this word pride. It's a difficult word for me, pride, because it's nice to be proud of something. If you're proud of your fellow man, you're proud of the nation, you're proud of where you live, not to excess, but you just sort of go, yes, I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed that I live here. I'm chuffed with my friends. But they say that pride is a bad thing. So I suppose it depends if it goes into some form of arrogance. But anyway, my point is that when you go out into the streets and you go shopping or whatever, and you look at people seem to be incredibly stressed, and they're working in businesses or for companies that they don't really enjoy. And perhaps they feel that there's only that one direction. We know that we've been dumbed down by authority that has created these different narratives. You know, children have been forced into school, and the government want to force more children into school to understand and be taught their doctrine and nothing else. This is what this new Wellbeing and Schools Bill is going to do. You know, all very well you teach them at home, but make sure you teach them what we tell you to teach them, because otherwise if you teach them your own ideas, that's no good. And we moan about this. A lot of people will moan about it, but they do bugger all about it. But why have we become so stupid? Because we're a strange animal, aren't we? We take the line of least resistance. I mean, that's most part. Like water, we'll just go, well, it's easier if I do this. I don't want to put any effort into anything. It's easier if I let somebody else do this. If it's easier if I go to the supermarket and put up with nutrient-free food, vitamin-deficient food, it's easier for me to do that than actually go and, go to a farm shop or go to a farm itself, or grow the food myself, or take responsibility for what I eat. It's easier for me to get a pill. It's far easier for me to have a pill so I can go and have, lots of beer, or I can eat fast food, or I can take certain drugs, or I can do this, that and the other rather than keep myself healthy. It's easier so I can have a lifestyle which is full of crap and sitting about, doing nothing, taking no exercise, and then don't worry, there's the NHS, public enemy number one, and I can just take a pill and I'll be all right. It's easier for people to do that. And as a result of this dumbing down and watching crap television and not raising our intellect, listening to mediocre music that just has a rhythm and a bass, the most simplistic things that the powers that be have worked out. Rather than raising people's aspirations, rather than people working to understand something and refining their knowledge and living a more elevated life and having critical thinking, we can just dumb them down with all sorts of rubbish, basic rubbish, films and television series, pornography, and complete nonsense, just to sort of appease the basic needs of people's lives. There you go. That's the minimum you need. And of course now they want to bring in this universal credit business so that you don't even have to bother to aspire to go to work or become an entrepreneur or create your own business. So of course that you just go, yeah, that's great. I can just sit and watch and play computer games and just, be distracted all the time. One of the biggest things that I think that we have been dumbed down and have moved away from, which I think is critical to us, is our spiritual understanding, our awakening to whom we are, to who we are, what we are, where we might come from, where we might go to, what intrinsically are we, and our moral code for dealing with one another, and our ability, really, I suppose, to think deeply about certain things. Most people don't. I was sitting outside yesterday in the little alley at the back of my house, and some people came past and they said, "Oh, hello, Richard, what are you up to?" And I said, I'm reading this book. And I showed them this. It was when I was sitting in the sunshine. And they said, "Oh, what is it about?" And I started to tell them a little bit about, it's exposing really how we've dumbed down, it's reminding us that how stupid we are in many ways in the things. And they started to look at me with interest until I said it was about, not eating real proper food, that eating, consuming material things, not having any spiritual awareness. And I could see their eyes glazing over as if, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. What's all that? And then they moved away. And there was no wish or wonder or no, I don't know, I can't really explain it. No inquisitive nature any more than everything is at surface value. Nobody wants to go deeper than the surface, and we've been trained to be absolutely thick and just stay within a very narrow field and not explore life in any greater depth. And that to me is a worry, and that we go along with the narrative as people have. However, I think I ran out of tobacco. I do think that we are turning, and perhaps if we're lucky and if we work on it and if enough people talk about it and help people raise their vibrations and look at the positive things in life and become more entrepreneurial and think critically about things instead of just letting other people, i.e. the television and the public authorities to do the thinking for them. If people can just make a bit of an effort, then it is possible that we can raise out of this, because we have the power to push back against all the tyranny that's going on, all the government nonsense, the acts and statutes, because once you realise that that is just a jurisdiction that you can leave, once you want to have and enter into the rarefied air of pure thought, your own thought, and a spiritual sense of where you should be and what we should do, once you enter into that realm, they're finished. But all the time we accept the drugs that they hand out, the television, the computer games, the easy money, the simple food, all of that, all the time we just go, oh, it's convenient, I must do this, that you've been hypnotized to accept all the time, then we will continue on this dreadful treadmill. So escaping that is a very simple thing. Stop the world, I want to get off, is the first stage that we have to do. And start thinking for ourselves, spending time in the silence, spending time sitting, cogitating, thinking about things, actually using this that we have been given, and to start, rather than just being distracted all the time and having those dopamine hits and, oh, what's on my phone now? There's 10 minutes before the next thing in my life. I can't sit still. I'd be bored. No, reach for the phone for a YouTube video, for a TikTok video, for an Instagram picture, for something. Oh, take a silly selfie, smiling, anything but actually listening to our own thoughts. And until we do that, moan away to your heart's content, because it won't get any better. Thank you for watching, if you did, and if you didn't, well, I'm sorry. Till next time, goodbye.